Hey guys, Tom here from synthhacker.com, and in this video we're going to be looking at making this kind of Psytrance rolling bass in NI Massive completely from scratch. Really nice. It might seem like quite a simple sound, but you know there is actually a lot going on here, and a lot of things that a lot of kind of tips and tricks that I can give you guys for creating these kind of bass sounds, just really to give them like a lot of polish, and make them sound like kind of give you like a bit of an edge over like other bass sounds that have been used like within the same genre. Some really cool stuff to learn in this tutorial. We're going to be talking about some stuff in the routing tab as well, and kind of creating your own sub oscillator, which is really cool. So let's begin making a sound completely from scratch. We just need to click new sound to initialize the patch. Just before I get into making this, I just mentioned, as you might have noticed, I said it was bass 16. That's actually bass 16 from the Trance section of my preset pack for Massive, which contains over 500 presets in that pack. Definitely go and check that out if you've got time over at synthhacker.com, or you can go via the link in the description below. There's like audio demos on there and stuff as well, and that's the all-in-one pack for Massive, which contains this as well. Or you can get the Trance and Prog House pack separately. It's completely up to you. But yeah, thanks in advance if you decide to purchase that. Really helps support me and the channel. And yeah, go check that out if you have time. But without further ado, let's begin making this sound completely from scratch. Quite a lot to get through, so I'll try be as quick and concise as possible while trying to explain what it is I'm doing. So first of all, in the voicing tab, just make sure that because it is a bass sound, we have this set to monophonic. And then go into the oscillator tab and just turn the glide time down. We don't really want the bass sound to be gliding that much. The next thing we're going to do is go into oscillator 1. We're going to pitch this down minus 12 semitones or 1 octave, and this is because this is going to be our sub oscillator. So change the wavetable to 1 with sine in it, and then with a sine wave in it, and then move the wavetable position all the way to the left, just so we're completely getting just the sine wave. And then what we're going to do is turn the amplitude all the way down, which might seem a little bit odd. You might just be like, what? Like, that doesn't make any sense. But the reason for this is because we're going to do something in the routing which allows the oscillator 1 here to completely bypass all of the synth and just go straight out. So it's not being affected by any inserts that we put on it, any effects, any filtering, or anything that might otherwise, you know, make it sound not as full. We're gonna route it straight through the synth, and the way to do this is go into the routing tab. Click this button here, which is B, and it stands for bypass, and make sure that the signal here is being routed to the EQ. I know this tab looks a little bit complicated, but all you need to do is click the bypass button, and then click this arrow, which is going to the EQ. Go straight to the EQ, so it's completely bypassing all the effects. And then what we can do is turn the bypass volume up here, so we're going to hear the sound coming straight through the synth, completely bypassing everything. So it's essentially acting like a sub oscillator, which is a really cool trick to bear in mind for in the future when you're creating your own bass sounds. Now the next thing we're going to do is go into oscillator 2. We'll just come back out of the routing tab as well. And we're going to choose this saw2 waveform. We're just going to have like a basic, it's going to be like a basic saw wave. You could mess around with different wavetables if you wanted to, you know, have like end up with like different harmonic results, but we're just going to stick with the saw wave for now, and make sure this is just at the default pitch, as long as it's just an octave above the sub oscillator. And we're going to route this straight through filter 1 with full amplitude. The next thing we're going to do is just make sure the noise oscillator is switched on. We're not using oscillator 3 or the modulation oscillator in the sound, and the noise we're going to choose is this bright noise. We're just going to set up a separate envelope for the amplitude of this, because we do want it to be just like quite a short sound. So drag and drop an envelope onto it, take the sustain down, and just give it a really nice bit of short decay, and this is just going to add a little bit of brightness to the start of the sound to kind of make it cut through the mix a little bit more. The next thing we're going to do is go into the filter section. We're going to make sure that the filters are in parallel. We're not going to use filter 2 at all. We're just going to use a low pass 4-pole filter, which is the kind of most extreme low pass filter. It'll have like the biggest impact on your sound. We are going to have a little bit of resonance. We're going to bring the cutoff down a little bit, and I'll demonstrate what this sounds like in just a second. We're going to set up another envelope here to modulate the cutoff. So we're going to bring the sustain down, give it a little bit of release, not too much, bring the decay down a little bit, and drag and drop it onto the cutoff. So now we have this. Which is really, really great. As you can tell there, we're getting close to the sound already. If we switch oscillator 2 off, you'll notice that you can hear the sub. But at the minute, the sub isn't really following the same pattern that the rest of the sound is, because it's relying on this envelope here, which is the by default the master amplitude envelope. So what we're going to do is simply drag and drop the envelope we've set up for the cutoff and drag it onto the bypass mod, and now it'll have a much more plucky sound. Much better. There is a little bit of a click, and you can get rid of that just by increasing the attack a little bit. The next thing we're going to do, let's have a look. So we've got the basics of the sound set up. The next thing we're going to do, which is a really, really cool trick, which I've kind of not seen many people use. It was just an idea that I had when I was creating a lot of the bass sounds for this pack, and it's using a bit crush. We're going to use 2 insets actually. We're first of all just going to high pass the sound that isn't the sub. So the reason for this is because we're getting that consistent low from our sub, just to clean up the sound a little bit, and because it is the sub is bypassing these inserts, we can high pass what's coming through oscillator 2, which is really, really cool. So I'll show you what this sounds like now. If we take the sub out of it, you can high pass this as much as you want to clean the sound up, and then we can bring the sub oscillator in. Really, really cool. So the next thing I'm going to do, which is like really, really kind of like one of the most creative things about this preset, is we're going to use a bit crusher, but just for the start of the sound. So we're going to set up a separate envelope here, and we're going to place it on the dry wet. And what we're going to do is bring the release and the make sure the release and sustain are right down, and give it a really, really short decay. And what this will do is just add a bit of bit crush right at the start of the sound. And this is just really, really cool. So it adds like a bit of like grit or a bit of dirt. I'll just show you what I mean. Oh, let me just make sure insert 2 is on at the end of the chain. There we go. So that's off. And then with it on, it adds just like a little bit of grit. It's really, really cool. And then you can kind of shorten or longer or increase the decay to kind of get the sound you want. I quite like it when it's quite a short decay. Really, really cool tip there, just to kind of add a little bit of grit or dirt to the sound. Really, really cool. And then all we've got left to do then is go into the effects section. We're going to use a dimension expander, bring the size like right down to the minimum, bring the dry wet down, and this will just really help to beef up the sound a little bit. Really, really cool. The only other thing we might want to do then is just change the master amplitude a little bit and give it a little bit of release. Not too much, obviously, because it is a rolling bass. And then same for the filter envelope as well. And that's it. That's our rolling trance bass. Really, really cool. It could be used in Psytrance, but also just for normal trance as well. Kind of a lot of different directions you could go with this. I will probably do a similar tutorial in the future and like different variations of this, so keep an eye out for that. Definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel if you haven't already to stay up to date with daily synthesis tutorials. And yeah, hopefully you got a lot of use out of this. If you haven't already, go ahead and check out my preset pack over at synthhacker.com, or click the link in the description below. As I said, I have a massive mega pack you can check out, which has over 500 presets, including that handcrafted by me. And yeah, definitely go check that out if you haven't already. Any comments, any questions, feel free to leave them below. Leave a like if the video helped you out, and yeah, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.